career will largely be defined by how well you present in important meetings. So the question is, how well do you present in important meetings? Think about that for a moment. And in a career, you only have a limited number of those defining presentations. How many more do you have left in your career? 9? 5? 3? Now imagine this, if you don't believe in the messenger, you won't believe the message. Are you a believable messenger or just another talking head? There's a lot of talking heads out there, right? Make a lot of noise, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of blah, but you don't remember what they said a day later, or a week later, or a month later. Now consider this. What if in any presentation you are perceived as very articulate, extremely competent, and genuinely interested in the audience? Think about that for a moment. Now, we have 45 minutes together. I'm not suggesting I'm going to move you to that place every time you're perceived that way, but if I can move you a piece along the way to those perceptions, I think you'll agree our time will have value. Top performers I work with want to improve if only they knew how. Are you top performers? Yeah. Okay, anybody want to join Isaac? Yeah. What's a top performer? Some of them wants to work better, get better. I work in the corporate sphere. I work with very senior executives. The best ones still want to get better. They want to know how their voice is perceived by others. Many of you have a mediocre understanding of how your voice is perceived by others. John O'Halloran studied the pitch of humans and other mammals, and he found that a high pitch signified that the mammal was either frightened or uncertain or small or insignificant. When he electronically lowered the pitch, he found the perception of dominance raised markedly. So a high pitch is correlated with politeness, but also subordination. My point is you can always learn. And realize, top performers realize that talent is overrated. You're all talented, but that only gets you so far. Top performers in any field of endeavor love feedback from an audio device, a video device. They don't make people wrong for giving them feedback, and they're eager to take that feedback and try it out. Should be your attitude to feedback. When someone tells you you should be, and it's hard to take, it's say, oh, let me try that out. See how it goes. Okay. So that leads me to the key messages. You have a handout there, I'm going to go through that. This is the takeaways. This is, if you take nothing else away, take away these 5. Number 1, simplicity, structure, and a measured cadence sells. 2, project energy and certainty with your vocal tone and your body language. 3, a presentation's purpose is to get your key message across. 4, hook the audience to listen with your first words. And 5, not engaging when being questioned. Take time to form a response. Never lose your cool. So let me flesh those out a bit for you. Simplicity and structure and a measured cadence sells. Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Can you explain what you do simply? Number 2, project energy and certainty with your vocal tone and body language. Energy is 70% of a job. If you don't have it, be nice. Your energy is so key. Next one, a presentation purpose is to get your key message across. Clear speaking, you know what that's predicated on, built on? Clear thinking. If you're not clear, this is not going to be clear. And 4, hook the audience to listen with your first words. The first seconds of a presentation is precious. Where do you think I sit in an audience when I don't know the speaker? At the back so I can leave. So if you don't grab me in the first 20 seconds, I might be out the door. So that's pristine time when you're presenting. And not engagingly when being questioned, take time to form a response, never lose your cool. He or she who loses their cool, loses. So everything goes from those messages today. I'm speaking to 12:35. However, I'm only speaking for 25 minutes. Then you're going to get involved, and I interviewed some people, and I'm going to answer some of those questions. But what I want you to do right now, as I am speaking, write down your questions. So when it's Q&A time, You'll be ready. You won't say, oh, what was my question? So start writing down now. So this is some other guidelines. Some of the ideas may seem too basic to be effective. They're very powerful when well executed. Adapt the ideas, don't adopt them. And practice any new technique today, first in the safe interaction. So if you have an important presentation tomorrow, don't try it. Because you won't be grooved, you won't get it. Okay. And I did some research for this presentation. Some of you may have no experience in presenting. I acknowledge that. Some may feel that you're not coming across as confident and engaged when you present. And the fear, it can be daunting. You know, presenting, I know you haven't presented at conferences, that can be daunting, so I acknowledge that. But let me say this, if you act on some of the techniques I'm going to share with you, you will lessen your fear, you will be more engaging, you'll be perceived as more confident. And here's a key mantra, and it was, let me say that I'll refer to something Jack said earlier. The universe rewards action. The universe rewards action. So what did Jack say? You need to put yourself out there. You need to put yourself out there. And the more you present, you know Jack said? He said, I just put my hand up. And I know it's difficult. Do you put yourself out there, Layla? Yeah, so take a cue from Layla. I mean, you might want to talk to her later. So you got to put yourself out there. The universe rewards action. Take the action. A lot of people just don't do it. And the rewards can be significant. You'll be invited to more conferences, you'll be invited to networking functions, you'll be invited to more events. So you have to do that. Okay, so let's get going. And what I'm going to focus on in this presentation, I know you have to do 5 and 15-minute presentations, so these ideas are relevant to that. So let's go. Simplicity, structure, and a measured cadence cell. First message there. Use an open, middle, close speaking structure. Open, middle, close is a 3-part structure. Open and middle is a 2-part structure. Middle is a 1-part structure. So I'll give you an example of it. And what's your name, sir?
Sayed.
If Sayed said to me, Michael, what do your clients like about you most? Utilizing that structure, I could answer it this way. Sure, let me tell you what they like about me most. They like the honest feedback, cuts and sensitivity. They like the long-term follow-up. And they like the continual research into more powerful techniques. That's what people like. So that's a 3-part structure. 2-part is just the open and middle. Sorry about the pronunciation. Ask me the question. I do. Let me tell you 1, 2, 3. The litmus test for the close, if the audience doesn't know you're finished, you need to have a closing remark. Because sometimes people stop speaking and the audience is looking like this. Are you finished? I couldn't pick it. 1-part structure is just the middle. You ask me the question, forget the open, forget the close. 1, 2, 3. So it's a judgment call whether you use all 3 or 2 or 1. But you always know where you're going. I label this technique rambling prevention insurance. Helps you not ramble. We're going to practice this right now in pairs. And we'll do what we can. I want you to think about 1 or 2 or 3 things you like about the suburb you live in. Take 25 seconds now to think about that by yourself. Just do that, please. Thanks. Okay, so what I want you to do in pairs, if I was with Yuli, you're going to ask each other an answer. So Yuli asks me, Michael, what do you like about the suburb you live in? I'm going to say, sure, let me tell you what I like. That's the open. The middle is what you like, and the close is, that's what I like about my suburb. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to practice that, and then you'd ask me, okay, find a partner, go now, do that. Things in pairs. If you give information in a structured way, you help the audience to process it 40% better than if you don't give it in a structured way. So, how much you use open, middle, close in a meeting? This is how you interject. Let me jump in here. My view is that we should do X, Y, and Z with P, Q, and R. That's my view. That's how you do it. See, a lot of people get attention in a meeting, and then they go on the monologue. Blah, 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 no end in sight. So start the end before you start, structure, or parts of the structure. If someone asks you a question, a professor, you know, your attitude, by the way, when anyone asks you a question, the old way is, oh no, what are they going to ask me? The new way is, Thanks for the opportunity. See the difference? That should be your attitude. Oh, I get an opportunity to share my insight. So that's important. But if, say, a professor asks you a question, you thanks for the opportunity, you'd say, what are you working on? Sure, let me tell you what I'm working on. I'm working on whatever you're working on. That's what I'm working on. Now, this seems deceptively simple, but you see, if it's well executed, that's how you do it. For example, mobile numbers in Australia have a structure, 0418-215-049. You know the people that give it this way? 042222. What? That's not the drill. It's 433. So you may love triples. That's good. That's all about you. It's not helping the audience. Who are you more concerned about, yourself or the audience? Hopefully the audience. Okay. This is a very important point. Your expertise will be judged by the organization of your thoughts. If you're all over the map, the decision maker will conclude you do not know what you're talking about, even if you do. So using structure is huge. Now, at a pedantic level, if someone asked me, Michael, how are you doing today? I could say, sure, let me tell you how I'm doing today. I'm doing fine. That's how I'm doing today. Now, you wouldn't do that, would you? You would just go the middle, fine, but you always know where you're going. So that's the key one, really key to get that one. Okay, next one is measuring cup speaking. And I'll set this up with this statement. If you are perceived as rushing when you're speaking, that's junior behavior. If you're perceived as owning time, that's senior behavior. Even if you think you're not rushing, if it's perceived you're rushing, you're rushing. So let me give you measuring cup speaking, and I'll use a prompt to do it. Imagine this is a measuring cup. It's got measures on the side. I've got ideas in my head, a measure, put it in the cup, speak that measure, put the cup down, and I pause. And it's a silent pause gap. No ums, ers, nothing. Put another measure in, speak that measure, put the cup down. Measuring cup's a good metaphor. It's not always the same measure. That would be monotonous. So I use the opening of a Barack Obama speech, former US president. He was a very measured speaker, to demonstrate this technique here. Hello, Chicago. If there's anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer. So that's measuring cup speaking. The opposite of measuring cup speaking is water hosing people. If there's anyone out there who still doubts that America's a place where all things are possible, still too much. So the best speakers, in my view, have energy measured. If you have no energy, that's boring. If you have too much energy, that's overwhelming. So use measuring cup speaking. Okay, next idea, be bold. Project energy and certainty with your vocal tone. By the way, no one honors the timid. Are you timid? No one's going to honor that. So you, like what Jack said, you got to be a bit bolder. I know it's hard. It's easy with me. I'm from the US. Americans are bold by default. They're born bold. But you need to be a little bolder, however it fits with you. So I'm going to give you a technique to get energy in your voice. This is a bit left field. I differentiate between energy, loudness, energy with voice, energy and loudness. You can have a loud voice with no energy, a soft voice with energy. I want you to think of yourselves as 8 years of age in a schoolyard. Bring yourself back there. Now you're taunting another child. No. Now that voice, ugly and nasal, has energy. So what we do is we shape that ugly nasal voice to a hooked chant that you say inside your head and you inject into the first word you speak. And anecdotally, we find if you have some of that energy, people listen to it. Think about it this way. Imagine as I am speaking now, you could see my spoken words coming out as printed words. I'm whipping it to that last person in the audience, then I'm whipping back their attention, and it can be independent of loudness. Now I'm talking at a lower volume, but I can still have energy. Most people are timid. They want to be liked by all. They may contemplate a bold action, but they rarely bring it to life. So it's different. Because I see some people, and it's almost like their voice is coming out of their mouth, dribbling down their chin. Okay, play with me here on the count of three, an enthusiastic yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Terrific. Now, in real life, you don't say that aloud. You say that inside your head. and then you have to whip the voice. So you have to have energy measured. So the next idea is with body language. I'll give you very basic body language. It is important. Whenever you're standing, hip width, that's where your feet should be. Imagine your neck is long at the back. Imagine there's a string coming out of your head and the puppeteer is pulling it to the ceiling. When you're standing, hang your arms. You can train yourself to do this. You want to encourage the audience to you. And when you're seated, put your feet on the ground, don't tuck them under, arms on the table. You know, if your arms are not on the table in a meeting, you'll be less likely to interject. So they have to be on the table uncrossed. And when you gesture, firm hands, firm arms, held for a second or two. And when you're making a strong point, say you reported to me, imagine holding a paperclip between your index finger and thumb, and I might say, Yuli, you gotta go out and talk to more people. That's what you need to do. This is pointing without pointing. This is too aggressive. Or maybe I could say this, just a little bit of effort over the next quarter can make a huge difference in your results, back to default. So you want to be open. So body language movement is important as well, as it says on the handout. Yep. Okay. Now, a presentation purpose. Number 3, key message, to get your key message across. When you are presenting, are you ever being unkind? Without even knowing it? Brené Brown, do you know that name? She's a leadership trainer, and I read a book. Sometimes you read a book, it's worthwhile for one line. Clear is kind, unclear is unkind. When you present, you've got to be clear. So, how do you determine your key message? And this is strategy is very basic, but it's very powerful. You use the 1 to 10 elimination process. So imagine Yuli reports to me, and Yuli's about to do a presentation, and I say, okay, Yuli, for this presentation, you only have 1 sentence to say. And you say, come on, Michael, I have more than 1 sentence. But that's the deal. So she goes away, crafts it, it's clear, she comes back to me, and then I say, Yuli, things have changed, now you have 2 sentences. So you go away and you think, if you only had 2 sentences to say, what would be the second most important? Come back, it's clear. Then I say, rules have changed, Yuli, again, 3 sentences. Go away, craft it, come back. Then you do this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 most important sentences, and then I say, Yuli, throw away 4 through 10. So that's what you need to do in my philosophy of presenting. What's the message? Often I'll coach people, and after the first 75 seconds, I'm often saying, what's the message? I don't do it. You need to do that work to be clear. If you only could say 3 sentences, what would it be? And every word matters. Simple, but that's what you need to do. Okay, so, and you need to spotlight your key message. And you need to say it twice. So you'd say some things like this. You'd say, this is the message I want you to remember. Here's the bottom line. If you take nothing else away, take away this. See, you're tapping the shoulder of the audience and saying, hey, this is the important bit. So that's spotlighting the language. Okay, and you deliver your key message right after your hook, and we're going to talk about a hook to listen. Okay, so that's the 3rd message. Number 4 on your handout. Hook the audience to listen with your first words. This is a question you should ask yourself. This is what the audience is asking. Why should I even care to listen to you? That's what they may be. And if you don't give them a reason real quick, they may go back to their phone, or they may just go to someone else. So get them right at the start. And ways you can get them are, here's some, by the way, it's to engage the audience's curiosity. That's what you want to do with your first words. You want to make them curious to hear more. And I don't work in the university academic field, and maybe you have to do presentations in a certain way, but I would still say, if you don't have attention, grab it right at the start if you can. Okay, and then the next one is, here's some hooks you could use. Consider this what if, a strong statement or a provocative statement. This could be a provocative statement. Motivational quotes are dangerous. Okay, why is that? Well, some people like motivational quotes, I've got you. You're thinking, how? So, you can provocative, you can say, I started today, consider this what if. And I started with what I call a strong statement. And usually when I say that, I've got people's attention. So I did research on that. Okay, and the last technique is not engaging me when being questioned. Take time to form a response, never lose your cool. He or she who loses their cool loses. So I'm going to give you a very basic technique to answer questions. So usually I'll use someone different. Is it Luigi? Okay, so, just pronounce it for me again. Luigi. So Luigi's asking me a question. As I'm listening to the questions, I see the letters DBA on his forehead. You know what that stands for? Don't be anywhere else. And I pair that with an engagement nod. It just shows I'm engaged. Does it mean I can answer the question? No, haven't heard the question. And then you use open, middle, and close. So, if Luigi said, Michael, please tell me about the disorder of stuttering. As he's asking the question, I'm nodding to show I'm engaged, DBAE, stays in the moment. And then use open, middle, and close. Let me tell you about stuttering. Middle would be this. Stuttering affects boys more than girls, 4 to 1. You're never cured of stuttering, you just have techniques to handle it. 2 major types of stutters, blocks and repetition. That's what I can tell you about stuttering. So that's how you generally answer basic questions. Be there in a moment. The more, even if it's a difficult question. So if Luigi was going to ask me a difficult one, you shouldn't be thinking of the next person who's going to ask a tough question. You shouldn't think of Isaac, who asked the question earlier, and think, geez, I didn't answer that one that well. Just, it's all you, Luigi. And you can train that. And speech pathology is an applied behavioral science, which means when you work on something with feedback, it develops the skill. So by default now, whenever someone's talking to me, I see the letters on their forehead, and nothing else matters. I'm there. You know, by the way, we live in a world of constant partial attention. We're not fully there. 80% here, 20% there. Looking at a phone. Anybody looking at their phone? I'm really sure you have. Yeah. Okay, so those are the key messages that I want you to, let me recap them again. Number 1 is simplicity, structure, and a measured cadence sells. 2, be bold. Project energy and certainty with your body language. Presentation purpose is to get your key message across. Hook the audience to listen with your first words, and not engaging when being questioned. Take time to form a response, never lose your cool. So what I want you to do now is to stand up, have a stretch, and with person 1 and 2s and 3s, ask and discuss what's one technique you might trial of all that I've taught. I'm going to give you 49 seconds to do that. Go ahead. Stand up. What's one technique you might trial? Have a stretch while you've been sitting down. Have a seat. We'll keep going. Thank you. Okay. So in a moment we're going to have Q&A, but I'll give you a unique offer. If any of you come to North Sydney, buy me a coffee, fit into my schedule, I'll give you 40 minutes of complimentary one-on-one. So that's 1 a year, by the way. So that's an offer for you. If you liked ideas in this session, you need to thank Thalia, who I'm not sure is here. Thalia,
no,
she is the
not
reason
here.
I'm here. And thank Isaac for his logistics. Let's give Isaac a hand. And if you want to know more, go deeper into this topic. Maybe you have a high-stakes presentation where you want some one-on-one coaching, or maybe you want to know how you show up when you're under pressure. You have a QR code on the handout. That's how you can keep in touch with me if you want to go further. Okay, first question is always the most difficult, so we'll start with the second. And while you're thinking about the second, I'm going to answer some questions I heard from Shani. She said, what happens when I lose attention of the audience? So you start, you get attention, but then you look like you've lost it. Well, here's some ideas. Change something up. Your voice. You know, a good variety in voice. You know why a lot of people lose the attention of the audience? They bore the ear through monotony, and then the mind goes, I gotta get some chicken on the way out. So you just change something up, higher pitch or acceleration, deceleration. This is acceleration, deceleration, acceleration. You never get a second chance to listen to someone the first time. Because if you are daydreaming, that might be the precise moment they're sharing the key bit of information. So you just change it up. You can change your body stance. So if you were standing there, And by the way, with movement, you want to move, stop, stay, and talk. My philosophy is you don't keep moving back. It's harder to listen to someone. So you stay here for a while, talk. You can also make sure, just change your focus, have the audience get up. So I would change something. So just change something, voice, body. Okay, and then I took to Villa. And you said at the start, what do you do when, how do you nail the start? Well, let me make these comments. When you don't want to rush, you want to actually, when you first saw me today, this is 100% of your attention. Initially, 70% of your attention was processing how I look and orienting to my voice, which only allows 30% of your attention to listen to my words. So I didn't even start talking for the first few seconds, I just nodded. Nod is very powerful. So my view is you don't rush, you just nod, let them see. And this is going to be difficult for you because you're an experienced presenter. Some of you, maybe you're more experienced, but there's a concept called presenter's misperception of time. So for inexperienced people being here, time tends to go like this. But from the audience, it goes like this. So the more experienced presenters know how time is passing from where you're sitting so they don't rush. So what you're gonna do is take your time and know your first two sentences verbatim with measured energy. And try to chunk them up in small chunks like I did. Your career will largely be defined by how well you present in important meetings. I didn't say it like this. Your career will largely be defined by how well you present. Too much. So what am I? Nail the opening. And if you nail the opening, it's hard to actually, you have to have the voice, the energy. It's hard to say. The audience is making a lot of judgments about you in the first maybe 10 seconds. And if you start boldly, they kind of send something back to you. It's hard, I can't describe it, but then you feel more comfortable. But you have to start the dance. You got to be bold, start the bold dance. And then I can talk about fear if you want to, some fear techniques. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, to tailor your presentation, and Professor Tong reminded me of this. This is what you want to do, very simple in many ways. You want to picture your audience and get inside their head. So say there's professors into the audience, luminaries, peers. So say you're a professor, you get in their head and you'd say, if I was a professor and I'm asking myself this question, what would I want to hear from this person? And the second question is this, what don't I need to hear? So you actually want to imagine them saying that, they're sitting there, that's what they're saying. So in your preparation, that's what you should use. And there's many other preparation techniques. Okay, so I've answered those questions. Happy to answer others. Now it's time for you to ask. Hopefully you've been writing some down, maybe. I have more information I can share. Yes, sir.
Please finish, I'll ask after.
No, I have, if there weren't any questions, I can give you more information, but I want to answer the questions now.
All right, so I have two questions.
Sure.
The first question is going to be, what's the effect of humor, both as a hook and as a way to keep your audience in connection with you when you're doing the middle part of the presentation? And two, I hope a lot of research students from abroad are polyglots because, well, we are not from here, so we have a native language and English in which we present. So what tips do you think will help when you're presenting in a foreign language for the first time?
You're speaking your native language or speaking English?
Speaking in a foreign language for the first time, not just English. It might be any other.
Okay, fine. Let me take the first one. And by the way, when people ask you double-barreled or triple-barreled questions, don't try to remember all of them. Sir, repeat the first question, please.
Yeah. So effectiveness of humor as a hook when you introduce and in the middle of the presentation.
Yeah. I think it's important, but it's dangerous. So let me answer that question this way. Top of mind, don't start with a joke. I've seen that fail too much. What you want to aim for is a slight smile or chuckle in your opening. The earlier you can get a smile from the audience, the better. And it's not ha-ha, it's just smile. Why do I use spaghetti and meatballs in my introduction? That may get you a little bit of a, it's not laugh, or I can do some other things. So I think it's important, but don't force it. And what you don't want is cheesy. You just, and you gotta, and your name, sir?
Vikesh.
You need to trial it out with people and say, if I did this, how would it come across? But in between, I just take advantage of natural humor. You know, there may be some quotes I have, you know, and I said, if energy 70% of a job, if you don't like it, be nice. Sometimes that gets a chuckle. But if it doesn't, by the way, if you think everybody smiles when I say this and this audience doesn't, move on. You know, maybe go over their head. So, yeah, I think sometimes you can have images that are tied, you know, put in Google this topic and here's an image, show me. And in ChatGPT you can get, show me a humorous but non-cheesy image. Okay, so that was the first question. Second question, please.
So what tips do you have for presenters who are presenting in a foreign language that's not their own, or the language that they grew up with?
Yeah. So I'm going to just take it in this English, non-English speaking people presenting. That's they're not. And I used to work with people with accent reduction a long time ago. I don't do that anymore. But what I would say to this, if you have an accent of English, some of my clients I used to work with were embarrassed about their accent, so they talk in a very low voice. But that's a double negative. What do I mean by that? It means that if you have an accent which may be difficult to understand, plus you're talking at a low level, I'm not going to make the effort to listen to you. So you have to project your voice. If you have energy in your voice, and by the way, perceived genuine enthusiasm sells. If I perceive you to be enthusiastic about what you're saying, I want to buy that. So what I would say firstly is that you need to, even though you may have some accent or pronunciation errors, give energy. Because if you don't, people are not going to make the effort. The other thing for non-English speaking background people, you tend, this is important to get understanding. Pronounce the final consonants a bit louder at the end of words. These consonants, P and B, B, T and D, T, D, and G and K, G, K. So for example, someone might say, I'm working on a project. I swallowed the last two sounds, and two consonants together is a cluster. So what you want to do is say, I'm working on a project. Did you hear the T? If you close off those particular consonants at the end of words, people will understand you more often on the first occasion. Thanks for the questions. Well, who's next? Yes, ma'am. Yuli.
So the first question is, thank you for the opportunity.
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity. See, she's already using it.
The first question is, usually when we presenting, we have a lot of things to deliver, but there will be like a really short time.
Yeah.
How we can choose the information and make sure the audience get what we want to see.
Yeah.
And the second is, usually we presenting something really difficult, like research data and something like that. What is the most effective way to deliver the message to audience which usually don't understand what is speak about?
Lay people?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. 2 questions, right? Please tell me the first one. see, and don't put, you just go and show it. Yeah, so go ahead. First one again.
How to deliver a lot of information in a really short time.
Yep. Okay, so some of the techniques I shared. Firstly, hook the audience to listen.
Yes.
Then link it and say your key messages right at the start. And that's why you have to do that 1 to 10 elimination process. And then if you only have 5 minutes in your 5-minute presentation, flesh out one of those ideas and then repeat those 3 ideas. And that's it. So you don't rush. See, the danger is what is rushing is junior. So if you keep rushing, don't try to pack in, just don't do it. If you only have 5 minutes, so here's one structure. Hook me to listen, give me the key message, flesh out one of those key messages, repeat the key message. Done. So you've got to decide. That's why you have to be really clear on the messages. Second question was?
Second question is, we tend to like presenting a really difficult.
Not easy. What I would say, you need to use analogy or metaphor. And again, you want to use ChatGPT for this, and my clients have used it. Give me an analogy for this. Or maybe a clear infographic that gets the point across. So yeah, you can't use all the technical language, and that's what you have to do. If you want to come, I might, for that one-on-one, I'd have some more ideas. But use metaphor analogy that relates to what you're getting across.
Yeah, because when we using like
PowerPoint is best used for things other than words, clear infographics. Do you know about the 3-second rule with PowerPoint? After you display the slide, can the audience understand the point in 3 seconds? And you know, no, mostly no. So that's what you want to do. You've got to try to, I don't use any PowerPoint here because we have interaction, because it's a distraction. Okay, when do you want to finish by? Do we have some time, or
We still have another 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay. If there's more, we can go. Yes, Layla. What's your presentation tip? I'll put a question for you. If you had to present and you wanted to share your goal-directed, you must be presenting. You must be out there. So what do? What's your tip for the group here? Yeah, for them when you're presenting. If there was one tip, you'd say that I would suggest to all of you when you present is.
I think that things that I care personally, if it's important for you guys. Passion is so important for
Okay.
me. I have to see that person passionate. Then it makes me also passionate to listen to him or her and more carefully.
Yeah, so perceived genuine passion sells. So that's why you've got, even if it's a dull topic, but well, some people think it is, your passion will say, geez, I want to listen to this. So that would be your tip there. No, thank you for that. What other questions do you have? Oh, sorry. Sorry, my fault. My error. Your question.
And before the question, the second thing that I care is also that sometimes people talk so professionally, but it's also important that we have, I mean that not at all professionally.
Yes.
So that to use daily words, then it's also more sensitive for people that they are non-native.
Yes.
I mean that, yeah, it's also. And my question.
No, so just on that, before you question, it's like a conversation now in presentations. It's not like speaker man, here I am, I'm a professor. It's almost like you're talking to a lot.
Think of professional, even
Sure.
that we don't know that.
Yeah. I think polite's the wrong word. Nice is the wrong word. Don't aim for that. Be professional. See, just leave that out. So, with the, this is what you do. I gave you the basic Q&A answering template, but for difficult questions, and you don't know the answer, you might say, Layla asked me the question, what is the template? DBA nodding. But then this is different. You say you label it, or if it's a tough question, or say you ask me something, I'm unsure I know about it, but take time. So I would say this to you, Layla, just give me a moment to think about that. Give yourself that time. And you do not get marked down for being thoughtful, but you have to look thoughtful. So what I would do is just give me a moment to answer that, then I'd take 4 seconds, I'd look thoughtful, then I'd come back top of mind if anything came. But if I didn't have the answer, with certainty I'd say, Layla, nothing comes to mind on that. Let's talk after, and or I can get that. Give me your business card, I'll get it to you. So don't bluff. But you do it with certainty. A lot of people do it apologetically, like, oh, I should know that. You can't know everything. So, by the way, even if you are a guru, don't come off as a guru. Because what do people want to do to gurus? Shoot them down. Yeah, so don't be a guru. Okay, we've 4 more minutes?
Yep.
Okay, 4 minutes, yes, here, and then, yeah. Sir?
Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
I have one question for you today. So I have a constant shake on my hands.
Yeah.
So when I give presentations, sometimes that can be exacerbated. It's
Yeah.
removed.
Yeah.
And one of your earlier points was, when making movements, be confident, be bold, be precise. How do you implement those approaches when you have constant nervous or shake?
Yeah, tough one. Just give me a moment to reflect on what you might do. 2 things come top of mind. the more you're focused on your hand is doing it, so they'll be focused on it. So don't put your focus. Just do it. Here's a fair technique for you. It's put the spotlight on the audience, and I'll come back to that in a moment. This presentation today, it's not about me, it's about you. I'm just the vehicle for the information. And if I'm a well-presented vehicle through my body language, structure, messages, it's going to help you. You still may have fear, but it's about the audience. So don't put too much overly focus. You're thinking, oh, they can see my hand. Here's another technique for fear. Get a piece of blue tack, hold it between your index finger and thumb, and try to put all the nerves there. See if you can do that. And I think with movement, you don't want to keep moving. Just plant your feet when you're talking. I mean, is it just one hand or two? Both. Well, maybe just put one in the pocket and share it around, but just try the blue tag. And so the two things to sum up is put the audience on the audience, even if you're shaking a little. If you think it's a big thing, they will. By the way, the audience takes the cues from you. If you think it's a big thing that your hand may be shaking, oh, they think. If you don't think it's anything, they won't. If I forget something, I'll often say, I've just lost that for a moment, it'll come back. So you're saying, oh, it's not that important. But if I said, oh, I just lost that, oh, you're thinking, oh, must be a big deal. Okay, I'm going to close with the key messages. Here they are. These are the ones to take away. And, spotlight them. So this is spotlighting. If you take nothing else away, that's the language, then I say it. Number 1, simplicity, structure, and a measured cadence sells. Number 2, be bold. Project energy and certainty with your vocal tone, body language. 3, presentation's purposes, get your key messages across. 4, hook the audience to listen with your first words. 5, not engaging when being questioned. Take time to form a response. Never lose your cool. Let's finish with an enthusiastic yeah, yeah, yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So well and present.
Thank you so much, Michael. That was absolutely incredible. I've scribbled down so many notes that I know you said that implement tomorrow, but I'm going to look at studying them tomorrow.
Perfect.
From now, we'll be heading off to lunch and a networking session. That's back out in the hall where we have a morning tea today. Michael has amazingly agreed to join us for a little bit of networking. So if there weren't any questions that you were able to get answered in this session, feel free to have a chat, and I will definitely take you up on that coffee offer.
Sure.
At 1:30 in the session, in the room across the hall for our next session after lunch. So go grab a bite to eat, have a chat.
Well
Thank
done.
you so much, Michael.
Well done.